So, hello. I am going to be drawing Ira, who I was drawing the other day in the windowsill, but for right now, I taped him really close to me, like super close to me. You'll be able to imagine that I'm just staring into the eyes of this all-white plaster cast ghostly bust. He owns a bookshop in New Bedford, and I was reading the reviews the other day, and there was this one review that was like, there was a man just looking at his computer, and I was gonna buy some rare books he had, but I refused to buy from someone who doesn't care to sell to me. And I was really surprised that someone cared that much about the customer service in there, but that sounded exactly like Ira. So, Ira, I was drawing him with these tools last time as he was sitting in the woods on my windowsill. And I just really like the graphite as a paper drawing tool. I tried it on a piece of masonite last night, and it was really surprisingly useful, but it has a different effect on paper, on like the white ground with the rough texture, than it does on a smooth piece of like composite board. And I've moved Ira closer to me so that I could really get lost in like the facets of his face. I'm kind of starting with these short little marks from the side. So like the side end, so like this portion of the graphite is what I'm using. I have a better control using the side and pressing down over the weight of my line, like the sharpness, that dark accent. I also have these Pilot pens, which I just ordered a bunch of because I'm running, it's hard to see, but it's running low. I don't do a lot of like fine rendering, so it's all pretty gestural, expressive, searching mark. I'm an oil painter, so I am trying to like adapt some of the stuff I'm learning by drawing with these two items to my painting, or trying to like see in the same way with a different media. There's this warm space behind the ear on the bust, and I'm just starting to kind of establish the size of this eye so that I can like start measuring out that space and the other side. So sometimes I like to be like super gestural when I'm looking for certain proportions, because that's where you like, if you start off experiencing form, you're gonna end experiencing form, whereas if you start off looking for shapes or like looking for landmarks, you'll probably have to fight really hard to get to some of these more ephemeral aspects of representation. So there are some lines, just partially because of the way I sculpted this piece, but also because of Ira's bone structure, that are really evident and gestural in the space of his face. Like there are these two creases that go down here. He's an older guy, and skinny, so there's a lot of like really defined bone structure that I have to respond to. Sometimes you'll see me squint, and it's just so that I can see the values easier. And that gives me, especially with this tool, it gives me some like reference for how I should use this tool. So like if I'm going to use the side or the front, or if I'm going to create movements like this, or if I'm going to create like linear motion like this. I kind of started this drawing a little too close to the top of the page for my liking. I might alter some of the drawing I've already done to get us farther away from that, because I just hate this shape, this tenseness up here. It's gonna really bother me for the rest of the drawing, but There is something about my coffee that tastes a little like gasoline. I feel like that's a note of coffee that should be a common note taken. Because usually it's just like grassy or chocolatey and this is the width of between the top of his ear to the top bend of his eyebrow. And there's kind of this crazy little triangle that happens. I think a lot of us, our eyebrow covers that space, but his kind of comes a little bit below. The reason this side is staying a little untouched is because I can see more of this side of his portrait just because there's a bright window right next to him, so the light is like kind of occluding this side or the edges on this side, and it's like all really high contrast there, so I have more information to work with in this space as far as like gesture and abstraction goes. You kind of have a different vocabulary, whereas this one has a lot of these like big chunky marks and the curving line, the little kind of hard edged moving parts, and the other aspect it has available to it is this like blanket structure thing. So if I wanted to just block in a section, I can use the full side of my graphite. I'm just gonna start trying to shrink this and pull it in. So I might lose some of the proportion I already mapped out, but again, it was just like bothering me up here. Maybe we'll say this is like the bottom of what I'm thinking about right now. So I define my format a lot, so I'll draw in the format that I'm working with. So like anything outside of this square that would be here, I don't care about. So it's starting to get a little darker outside. I don't know if it's cloud cover or just because the day is moving forward. So these lights that are in front of me are a little more apparent. They're stronger, they have a warmer hue. And I'm starting to see it come in on Ira's face a little better. So like when I'm painting Ira, which will be later, he'll probably be like mostly warm and cool, whereas right now he's kind of a whole series of like grays, neutral colors. So I'll probably have to I'll have to paint him in the morning sometime. So sometimes when I'll say I'm trying to move something or trying to sculpt something, and it's me using like kind of visceral marks to try and find that form, like trying to actually change form two-dimensionally. It's pretty hard, so sometimes using, it's like motion lines in animation, but like not even, I don't know, it's a little bit more clinical than I'd like to say it is. This, it was made with clay, so there are some really specific warpings and intricacies that happened because of the way I was molding things and kind of responding to Ira as he held a pose, so we were working from life. It's getting darker and darker behind Ira, and I'm just kind of finding all the little spots of light. Yeah, I get that. I'm gonna send another name in the chat. Yeah, Giacometti is probably one of my favorite painters of all time. I just get really excited about it. About the way he uses line and sees things and kind of tries to find. He's always searching, people call it searching marks. And that's definitely a big part of what I do as a artist or a drawer. There are a lot of representational artists that kind of have that effect in the way that they work. Where even though their work is not exactly what they're seeing, it like wouldn't exist the way it does without that, like that reference. Yeah, that's a really good way to learn too, is doing what we call master copies or like pastiches, is like trying to copy someone's art that you like. You'll always kind of learn something about the way that they work. And like even just like a Bic ballpoint pen, like a cheap pack of like 100 of those, like a $5 pack of 100 or something, is plenty to work with. You don't need anything fancy. Those are like the big brand name companies that sell like the bulk packs. You could find specialty ballpoint pens too. There are a lot of those, like if you like using a nicer material, like if you'd want to. But for like just trying out something, definitely like go with those. That's pretty much what I use. Our blind was kind of killing our plant the other day because we didn't realize that we had it partially shut and it wasn't getting enough light. Yeah, habits are so powerful. And I mean, like for like drawing to me is like a series of like perceptual habits. So I always like am thinking about that, like how you learn certain things and they become like inconsequential to your everyday life, but then you start applying them more without knowing it. Like it's a completely unconscious thing by the end of having one. There are these, I'm trying to like kind of lose a little bit of the form I pulled out because right now it's starting to get darker in my space. And the shapes, like Ira is also getting darker because the window was casting light on him. So now there's like more information getting lost. So I'm just trying to like kind of like knock it all back a little bit and see if I can like meld the world of the room and Ira. Thank you for coming by again. And yeah, I mean, I hope the pen works for you.